So unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, you've probably listened to or watched a podcast by now. It feels like they're everywhere. Anybody and anybody who has something to say, who has a microphone and a camera, has a podcast these days, right? So you're probably thinking like, is it worth it for me to still start a podcast because everybody has a podcast? And then you've thought about, these huge people like Joe Rogan or Alex Cooper from the Call Her Daddy podcast, from Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey. They just landed $100 million deal. Did I miss the wave? Did I miss the boom? So this is what I will say. One, you're not Joe Rogan or those people, so you shouldn't expect that type of payday, especially starting out, right? Don't expect that. Don't expect anything close to that. But the second thing I will say is it is not too late to start a podcast, and you didn't miss the wave because, first off, there are a lot of podcasts out there, but there are not a lot of good ones out there. Okay. My podcast has done over 500 episodes, the Urban X podcast. We've done over 500 episodes and we have over 1 million downloads on our podcast, right? So we've learned a lot in that time since 2018. And what I did, I compiled a list of 10 things that I've learned, all right? And I want you to stick around to the end because you're going to get the last lesson that I've learned is something that's going to tie everything up in a nice neat bow and help you start your own show. Okay, so let's get started. So number one, being consistent with your podcast is half the battle. Most shows, 90% of the podcasts that are out there don't make it past episode 20. Now that is for a bevy of different reasons, but the point still remains, right? Staying consistent in anything, especially in podcasting, is where a lot of the magic lies. There are people who start these shows because they're very knowledgeable in something, right? But whatever that may be, and then they realize that they don't have a lot to talk about on said topics. So coming up with fresh ideas week in and week out to talk in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, is more difficult than it looks, right? Believe it or not, right? You might be just thinking, I'm just talking, I'm just having a conversation in front of a microphone. I can just do that all day. Okay. And you might be right, but for the majority of people, they realize I don't really have a lot to talk about. This episode sounds like the last episode. I can't talk over 5 minutes about said topic. So that is something that you really have to kind of understand before going into podcasts. And part B to that, right? So that was one. Oh, this is 1A, I guess, right? So part 1A to this is that a podcast with multiple hosts is also difficult to sustain as well. Now, a lot of the bigger podcasts that you see, right, either they're interview based or there's a cast like the Joe Budden podcast, right? There is 6 people on that podcast and they're able to talk about certain things. And because it's 6 people, 6 different perspectives, the conversation could go anywhere. The thing is, though, what if your co-host is on vacation? What if your co-host is sick? What if they have a sick child? What if their wife, their husband, something is going on at home to where they can't record week in and week out? I tried that. I'll show you an experience. I've tried to run a podcast with one of my good friends. He's an entrepreneur, and we called it The Real Revenue Show. That show got to 18 episodes, right? Not because we didn't want to, not because we're not capable, not because we're not disciplined. He was opening up his second restaurant. He was opening up his second restaurant at the time, and he didn't have time to record, right? The podcast was not his priority. He had a lot of stuff to do. I was also doing a lot in my main business as well, so it just got really, really conflicted, like our times. So I'm here to tell you from experience that dealing with multiple co-hosts can be difficult, right? And not just for monetary reasons or compensation. It just can be difficult due to scheduling, okay? So now, 2, let's go into something else, right? Don't rely on the hope of sponsors or advertisers to make your money. Starting out, podcasters, when they hear about these deals that Joe Rogan or Joe Budden got with Spotify or Call Her Daddy got with Sirius, they're thinking about the money. So they're saying, I can talk in front of a microphone. I can do that. I can make money. So let me start a podcast. That's not the way to think about it. And that's not, especially when it comes to making money on podcasting. If you want to make money, you're going to have to create a product outside of your podcast. Meaning, if you have some merch that you can sell on your show, if you have a membership that you can sell for your show to also make money, if you rely on sponsors and you rely on advertisers, one, you're at their mercy, right? If they want you to change something about your show, if you have a sponsor, they want you to change something about their show for you to get paid, you have to do so. Or if something happens in the market, and when something happens in the economy, the first thing to go is usually advertising dollars. So they might pull from your show as well. And a lot, and this goes into the first point, it takes a while to be able to get quality sponsors and advertisers for your show, because the advertisers, it has to make sense for them. I'm not going to give you $10,000 a month if you don't have an audience that will buy my products, and I'll get a return on investment for advertising with you. So you have to think about that as well. So think about other ways that you can make money from your audience. That could be donations, like on YouTube, they have super chats and stuff like that. So that could be a way. Memberships. If you have a product or service that you can sell directly to your audience, that is also another way that you can make money. Don't always rely on sponsors and advertising. Hey, what's up? If you like what you're watching and you want more information just like this, then you should consider joining the Urban X membership, where we have hours of online business courses available to you. And we also have my ultimate online business guide. It's about 40 pages of some actionable things you can take to get your online business started today. The Urban X membership is only $10 a month or $100 for the entire year. Cancel anytime. I think it is well worth it if you want more information just like this. All right, so let's get back to it. Okay, so number 3, when you are thinking about topics for your show, right? Whatever niche you may be in, or niche, however you want to say it, think about timely episodes and timeless episodes, aka evergreen episodes. So if you are, let's say, if you are a real estate agent, right, and you are teaching people how to go about buying their first home, so those can be evergreen topics. You can just have things that just will never change about buying a house. Okay. Then you can also do episode on timely on current topics, timely episodes. So if something happens in the market that will affect home buying right now, you could do an episode on that. If something happens in your industry that is shaking up industries, right? Like, so and so just got a show on Netflix due to their real estate, like Ryan Serhant, stuff like that. You can do an episode on that. So try to look to both, because what you're going to see is people will need both. People will be interested in what's happening at the moment, and people will want to understand, things that they can always come to. You want an episode that people can watch at any given time, that they will get value out of. So look at that. Okay. So number 4. Okay. Number 4. Your podcast doesn't need to be about a bunch of different things. And I get the fascination behind it. I get the intrigue around having a topic that can be interesting to a bunch of different people. But here's the thing. There are already so many different shows that talk about like any and everything. So you want to specify what your show is about, and then go wider based on the actual topic. So like I just said, it could be about, let's say you're talking about real estate, right? So it could be about buying a home. Then it could be about dealing with a real estate agent. Then it could be about becoming a real estate agent. Then it could be about home inspections. Then it could be about, interviewing other real estate agents from different states and how they do things. Interviewing, you could just have a bunch of different topics within your niche, right? It doesn't have to be about a bunch of arbitrary things, like not like dog grooming and real estate and cooking, because you'll be all over the place and people won't know what to get when they click on your show. Okay. All right. So number 5, your podcast episodes do not have to be that long. That is one of the biggest myths that I have to dispel, because a lot of people again are used to 4-hour podcasts from Joe Rogan or 3-hour interviews from you know a Diary of a CEO, like these podcasts that are really, really long form, and people get intimidated. Like, I want to start a podcast. I have something to talk about. I have an expertise or have an interesting perspective in this field, but I don't have an hour and a half to talk about it, or I don't have 2 hours to talk about it. Your podcast can legit be 15 minutes long. It can legit be 20 minutes long. It does not have to be that long. I've seen podcast episodes that are 10 minutes long. Ryan Holiday, he has his podcast called The Daily Stoic, in which every single day he just has a new Stoic principle that he wants to talk about. Sometimes it is legit 7 minutes long, and he'll still post it up. So don't be intimidated by what you think or how long you think an episode should be. If you are able to clearly articulate your points and clearly articulate your perspective on a given topic for an episode, do it. That is good to go. That is a podcast episode. Okay. So they don't have to be that long. Okay. Now, 6. This is important because I got tripped up. I see a lot of people get tripped up in this one. Your audio audience and your video audience are two different people. If you have a video element to your show, you're gonna realize that like a lot of times there are people who just want to listen to your show and not want to watch your show. I have shows and I'm a podcast listener. I'm a podcast consumer, right? I have shows that I just watch and I have shows that I just listen to. If I'm driving, if I'm at the gym or something like that, I'll rather just listen than watch. The experience is different in both ways, right? So in a video, you can see my facial expression. You can see you can see my facial expression. You can see my mannerisms. When you're listening, you can't see any of that. You can only just kind of imagine. So there are people for different reasons who like to consume their content in different ways. So that goes into number 8, which is you want to have both elements to your show. You want to have a video element and an audio element, and try your best to make the experience a little different. Okay, so in your audio show, see if you can have some music in the background and in your intro, not through the whole thing because that's annoying, but in the intro, see if you can have some music. You can throw in a different call to actions, like if you want them to download something, if you want them to follow you on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. You can throw in different elements for both to make the experience different. Okay. Next one, try to build an email list or a text message list, right? So you can notify your listeners, your audience, on when you just dropped a new episode. My podcast that I have with my dad, Urban X Podcast, we have both. We have an email list and we have a text list. And when we're about to go live, because we do our show live, when we're about to go live, we send out a text blast and an email blast to let everybody know, hey, we're live now. The show is about to start. Come on and join us. And you'll start to see more engagement that way as well, because people will begin to build their weekly schedule around your posting schedule, which is a great thing. It's only not great when you have to cancel for whatever reason and people are really disappointed in that. And we've dealt with that as well, but it happens. Okay. Now this goes into my next one, which is live streaming is a great way to nurture your audience. So when me and my dad in 2018, when we started our show, he had the idea. He goes, yo, we should go live. And I'm like, yo, that's not a podcast. Like, a podcast is a pre-recorded audio thing. And he was like, says who? Like, we could still go live on YouTube because we have a video element, record the audio, edit the audio up, and then put the audio up the next day. So we still are feeding both sides of the people who want to consume just audio and the people who want to consume just video. But going live, what it does is it creates a different experience for even the video watchers, because now You're able to answer questions on the spot. If you say something and somebody doesn't agree, you're able to address it right on the spot. If you say something funny and people laugh, you're able to just kind of feel that energy. If you are selling merch, right? And I'll give this example. We were thinking about these hoodies that we were gonna sell, and then I went on the show. I just wore the hoodie. I didn't say anything about the hoodie. I didn't say we were selling it. I just wore it, and people went in the comments live. I can see this happening in real time, going crazy for the hoodie, asking when it'll be available, asking if it's available now, asking where they can get it and stuff like that. So we knew in real time that we had a good hoodie, we had a good product, so we were able to sell some stuff. And then we're able to, again, like I said, answer questions. We have inside jokes. The show can be a little bit more spontaneous, so you're able to build a deeper connection with your audience. Really, really dope. So think about live streaming. Not all the time. It doesn't have to be all the time. Like, we've live streamed 490 episodes of our show, so it doesn't have to be all the time. It just has to be, once in the blue, to kind of nurture your audience, because that's what this is all about anyway. You're trying to nurture your audience. You're trying to build your audience. Okay, so that's what this is all about. Okay, and lastly, this I have this one here because it is a mistake that I see a lot of people make. It is the reason why a lot of people get into podcasting, because they see these moments, right? So lastly, your show must not rely on viral moments. One, you shouldn't be trying to go after viral moments. And then two, you shouldn't be trying to build everything that you have around viral moments. Now, the reason why I started this show saying that you've probably heard or seen a podcast, because it feels like now in media, when something crazy happen, it usually happens on a podcast somewhere, and then they get a lot of notoriety, and then people who have never done a podcast before go, I could do that, right? That looks pretty simple. I can create my entire show around a fly by night topic that people won't care about in a few months, right? I've seen, and it happens with a lot of dating shows. It happens with a lot of parenting shows. It happens with a lot of just mess. So people create entire shows or entire podcasts around these things that will not be trendy very long. And then they are surprised when views go down, when downloads go down, when people are not just checking for them anymore, because they built their entire business, their entire podcast around viral moments. So you do not want to do that, right? So those are the things that I've learned after recording over 500 podcast episodes and having over 1 million downloads. Those are some of the things that I've learned since 2018. If you like these, if you agree, if you disagree, comment below and let me know what you think. All right, and I will see you on the next one. If you want some more videos on online business, and hit these videos over here. All right, am I doing it right? Yeah, hit these videos over here, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.